repeat in my head this comment that was made I heard many years ago. And the comment was specifically, for example, the specific comment was, if you knew how to make $1 million, you would already be doing that.
100%.
So since you don't know how to make $1 million, you need to get in front of and around the person that has made $1 million, right? It's just generally when we're not accomplishing a thing that we would like to accomplish, it's due to either lack of information, or if you have the information, lack of implementation.
Yes.
So you know what to do, but now you're not doing it. But those two things are necessary to get the result. Agreed. And so it was like, who am I to say, oh, I don't need to hear from you. I want to make $1 million. You're making $1 million, but I don't need to hear from you. What?
Doesn't make any sense.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Anyway, with that being said, welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Let's have this conversation. Welcome to For Closing's Sake, where we have conversations over lunch. Admittedly, I already ate lunch. I had Chick-fil-A before we got on.
I had a slice of turkey.
So listen, because I'm talking, I can't eat. I ate already. You guys go ahead and have your lunch. And let's have this conversation over lunch about making winning offers. I mean, I think that is the conversation du jour. How do we make winning offers? There's one property, open houses at 10 o'clock. No, let's say 12. The line started at 10. What's going to make me the one of 100, the winning offer? We need to have that conversation. For those of you who were not with us last week, I have the one, the only Angelique Hibbert. Angelique Hibbert is a top producing realtor in South Florida, making her way up to Central Florida now. And I see she was in Atlanta last week. So we're global at this point. Top producing realtor. And I watch people. I watch realtors. You guys know, as a closing attorney, I come in contact with so many real estate professionals. And Angelique is one of the realtors that stood out to me from the very beginning with her effectiveness in working with buyers. She did. And I was like, oftentimes people are stressed out. They're like, they work with buyers just because like that's what they had to do. And they don't really enjoy it. And they're not like, just like, hey, my buyer. They're like skidding into the closing table, like, oh my God, make this stop. And so when we got ready to have this conversation, even though I know that she's now like the listing queen, and more of her ratio is on the listing side, I thought about none other than Angelique Hibbert to have this conversation with us about effectively working with buyers. And that last week we talked about having an effective buyer's consultation. Angelique mentioned how after some perfecting the process, not showing more than 4 properties. I think you said the first time you showed 8, the lady never made an offer. Showed her 8 in one day and not one offer was made.
She said that she's gonna think about it.
She's gonna think about it. So we went from showing 8 properties in one day with not one offer made to showing no more than on an average of 4 properties going under contract and closing. That is a gap. That's a gap of information that we need to talk about. So we talked about the listing presentation, and now let's layer on, the buyer's consultation. Let's layer on now this low inventory market. Now I know some of the things that we're doing, on our real estate side with our team. But I want to have a conversation with you, Angelique.
I'm here for all of your real estate endeavors.
Let's get started. So let me hear, first of all, what are your thoughts about the market? Because we've had this conversation before too. What are your thoughts about the market? Where's the market going? We know that interest rates are now higher than they were pre-COVID. I think it says 10 years. I think they said it's been at this rate. We're now over 5%.
Right.
Now under 3 at one point.
Right, and that's when we had, and not to, pardon me, not to talk politics at all, but just to generally speak, what we do in the industry is not just real estate related. We need to also be in tune to the news and things that are happening. We need to understand what the Federal Reserve is doing. We need to understand when presidents come into office, what they're doing, what policies are changing. So as you're speaking about the interest rate, I don't know if anybody even knows what the average interest rate really is in America. I don't think anybody really knows that. I asked someone that question yesterday after leaving the meeting, and she goes like 4%. I said, 4%. I said, you need to look at history. You need to start learning. You need to look. I studied from, I would say, the 1950s, the 40s, the 50s, all the way up to see the trend, because we need to understand what's going to happen in the next 5 years, 10 years, because things repeat itself in a period of time. And it did repeat itself, but something had to happen to adjust the market. So with that said, the interest rate is on a good day when people can send their kids to private school, drive nice cars, and taking a vacation with the family once a year, it's 6%. It's the norm. Most people right now today will be like, 6%? Oh my God, and freaking out about 6%. But you got to understand the market. When President Obama came in, the interest rate had to go down because we were coming out of, just barely coming out of, the crisis that we were in for 2008. It was a crisis we were in. We had subprime lenders and things of that nature. So always remember, at the end of the day, money has to flow to keep the economy going.
Right.
So something has to give, and what is it going to be? And it was the interest rate. It helped a lot of people get out of a lot of situations and problems. And at the end, very end, I think the last part of his term, a lot of people were doing short sales. But at the last part, you got to remember this. It was not written off anymore. So if you owe 300, but you sold at 200, you paid taxes on that $100,000. It just couldn't go anymore. Okay. So things were changing, and you had to understand that. Then we had another president come in, as we all know, President Trump. And whether you like him or not, that's not a topic for discussion here, but the interest rate dropped again, and it needed to, because we needed to keep the flow of money going. We were having small little crises here and there. You have to watch things like, gas prices, little things like that should indicate to you what's happening. And then here come COVID. Oh, we had no choice. If the interest rate stayed any higher, we would have been in real trouble, right? So the Federal Reserve dropped the interest rate to do what? To have money move. Money must move. If money's not moving, America is not built to have a first class and have, no middle class. It can't just be, a below average class and then above average class. Middle class is what runs America. Remove them, and then we're a third world country. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So the Federal Reserve had to drop the interest rate to keep things going. So that's where we are right now with the interest rate. So I had my cousin call me yesterday. You got to get online with me, Angelique. The interest rate went up, and it's 4.8. And I'm just saying, well, either you're going to buy the house or you're not going to buy the house, because your credit score is at 850. You are getting the best interest rate that is available to you right now. And I had to pull out my chart of my history facts and show her. The interest rate is normally 6%. So if the interest rate is 6%, the house would be less in price. The interest rate is going to be higher. What are you looking to do? We need to start having those kind of conversations with our customers so they can clearly understand. If you got a house at $300,000 and one at $350,000, you're amortizing $50,000 over 30 years. That difference might be $50.
Oh.
Nothing. You spent $50 thinking or driving in your car from home to work and stopping at McDonald's the other day. I went to buy my godkids food, $35 at McDonald's. Like, oh my God, I didn't know, So what I'm saying is that, so we have to help people start understanding. And it's going to be a real shocker because the interest rate will go back up. Okay. Well, somebody said one of my first houses
was at 14%.
And let me tell you, in 1980, when my family moved to Florida, the interest rate was 13 to 17%, depending on what type of quality credit you had. And that was great. Okay, that was great. And the houses were $30,000 and $40,000, but guess what you pay first all the time? interest. Right, interest all the time. So yes, so the interest rate to me right now is still pretty good at the end of the day. So people, we need to start letting people know that and understand that. We're not living this time where you're going to get the 2.9. We got to be able to articulate to our customers why it was 2.9, why it went there. We're in a crisis and people don't understand. If our market fails, people are not shopping at Publix, they're not putting gas in their car, they're not going anywhere, they're not doing anything. I think some people don't understand how that all works. So understanding the interest rate is super important for your buyers. And then not to be off topic, but I think this is very important for people to understand too, this interest rate, going out here with these offers and let me tell you, realtors, if you're out there and you can stay in this game, because if you can articulate what's currently happening, think about it. People are putting offers $50,000 over asking. That's a whole lot. They're going to be looking for their money again at some point in time when they get ready to sell. And then Sheila across the street decides to sell when the market kind of averages out. And she's going to sell her house for $400, but you bought yours for $450. Well, guess who's going to set the market trend? Sheila's house. And so what's going to happen to that person who paid that $50,000 over asking? What's going to happen to them? So start preparing yourself to start getting out there for this market. And that's my story on the market trend right now. Things are going to change. And you have to keep up also too with NAR, the National Association of Realtors. I don't think people understand that they belong to NAR. When you decide that you're going to be a realtor in the United States of America, they are doing the trend across the country. Pay attention to NAR. They're giving you updates for 2023, okay? If you look at their history, they're normally not way off, but none of us decide to read and go and update because we don't even know that we actually have a profile in NAR that we can actually use and get information. So I do that. So I know, so I can be able to speak articulate about the market and have those kind of conversations with my customers. Sometimes today is the right time, sometimes it's not. So that's my little my information on the market trend.
All right. So let's get into it, because you're mentioning, and this is the hot topic, this is the go-to in today's market, and that is paying over ask price, making offers not contingent on the appraisal. Now, the first thing I want to say, so I want to hit this point to make sure that we're clear on what that means for your buyer when you make an offer over list price and you're saying you're going to pay over appraised value. And this is a very small detail, but I think is missed. And that is when you have your buyer agree to purchase a property over appraised value, what? Your buyer has to come up with the cash difference. They have to come up with the difference in cash. And that sounds like, 50% may say, Racole, that's obvious. Clearly it's not. There are a lot of realtors that don't realize your buyer has to pay the $50,000 in cash.
Exactly.
Do they have that?
And should they be using that money to do that? Should they be doing that? What's going to happen to them the next year and the year after? Because remember now, we're not just selling the house, we're selling the investment. We're a part of their investment. Moving to a home is giving you a place to live, yes, and it's to make a house a home, but it's also an investment. Are you making a good investment is the question.
Correct. So like you said, we know market trends, and we know that, for example, the homes that are selling now are setting the market. They are setting the value, right? So you'll have, for example, work with the buyer. You'll have buyers that are waiting for homes to close in a community so that they can get that valuation for their closing. Exactly. Because the closing prior to that, and you have the values that are changing week over week. Week over week, you have like 5, 10, sometimes $20,000 swings.
Yes.
So to your point, when is it prudent? Because the values are the values, and that's what they're saying. So, and I want to take a step back and say, what is market value? So market value is what? what a ready, willing, and able buyer will pay for property. And so this is where you get into supply and demand. If you have one home and you have 5 ready, willing, and able buyers that last year that home would have sold for 50, is now selling for 200,000, guess what the market value is? 200,000.
Exactly.
And so that's another fundamental that needs to be articulated to buyers when they're like, well, wait a minute, this house sold for, I'm not even going to talk about when they go back to the property appraisers page and say, well, they only paid, like, you're way out of range if you're looking at what they paid for it. And I know everyone has heard that before. Well, they only paid $100,000 for that property. That has nothing to do with the price of gas today. Like, this house, the market value is $300,000, $350,000. So let's talk about that. When is it prudent for a buyer to say, you know, I'm willing to pay over appraised value? What does that look like?
So if they're willing and able and they want to, I mean, that's the answer to the question. And that's what I put out on the table. And I will tell you right now, I have a buyer right now, and she says that the property is you know, listed for 310. I said, but what if the appraised value comes back at 280? Because it was clear in the information that there are no contingencies on inspection, there are no contingencies in this entire deal. It was very clear. Don't ask. That means we're not giving you anything clear. So my question to her, to help her understand, I said, sure, you can put an offer in and you are approved for the 310, so that's not a problem. But what if the property comes back at 280? Who's going to pay that $30,000 difference? And she was like, oh, like, I can't just add that to my budget, you know, from the lender. I said, no. I said, the lender is only going to lend on the value, because if you don't pay your mortgage, the lender needs to know, first of all, the lender needs to know that what they're giving you a mortgage on has the right value. They're not going to give you value on something that doesn't have it. Suppose they need to get it back. They need to make sure that they are giving money the correct amount of value to you. So they'll go ahead and give you the 280 if that's what the appraised value comes back at, but then who's going to pay the difference? And she said, well, I have the extra money. I said, but is that what you want to do with it? I said, so you're going to take another 30,000 and put it on top of that. Okay, that's fine. So now you get your offer accepted. Okay, so how you make your house a home? Because I'm sure you're going to want to buy some new things. You're going to want to paint. You're going to want to do something. I said, what you're doing is you're going to tap yourself out. And I said, you're going to be house poor. If you choose to do that, that is totally up to you. I cannot make that decision for you. Now, being someone in the market, I don't drive that at all. I put it out there. I let the buyers know. And if it's something that they choose to do, I make it very clear. Listen, I'm not a fan of that, because see, that's not going to help our market later on as realtors. You know, it's just not. It's going to create some other issues, and we're going to have to be strategic in what we do later on. But if the buyer wants to do it, then that's okay, as long as they understand what they're getting into.
So let's use that hypothetical, but I'm going to pull out the no contingencies at all, because I as an attorney, I wouldn't agree to that. I think that that's very risky unless they're an investor. Like you said, for someone that, if it's my buyer, that's their principal residence, I'm not suggesting that they make an offer under those conditions. I just want to be clear. When you say no contingencies, that means that you are closing regardless. Like, this is it. There's no financing contingency. There's no inspection contingency. There's no contingencies whatsoever. You're going to the closing table on this property. So we'll use that hypothetical, but we're going to pull out the contingencies.
Okay.
So making a winning offer. Again, so you as a listing agent in this market, you work with buyers. Fundamentals. What is one of the first things that you're doing to make a winning offer? I know, for example, a basic tactic is we have buyers that will make the deposit of what their earnest money deposit is going to be, and send with their offer the escrow letter saying, this is how serious I am. My money, my 10,000 is already with title experts who I intend to close the property.
That's really big. I do want to say this, and I think this is important too. We have to get out there as realtors and meet other realtors.
Hey, that was number 2, relationship. We won one just like that.
And let me tell you something. I know this is like, we're looking for the immediate answer, but you have to understand something. I get offers accepted because somebody saw my last name.
Exactly. We got an offer accepted off of relationship.
Just strictly because they saw my name. Yes. And so and this is what I'm telling people, if you don't have much to do right now, or put it in your daily schedule, you send note cards to some of these listing realtors out there. Yes. I went to an open house the other day. I went and met the lady. I talked to her. We spoke. I got her email address. I even got her mailing address from her card. I mailed her a card. I said, listen, you did a fantastic, well-organized open house. You know, and I sent that out because she's going to remember my name. Yes. She's going to remember who I am. So these are things that you need to be implementing now for the future. And it doesn't matter where the market goes. People need to know your name. Create your name. Put your name out there and become a brand. And I promise you, 3 of my offers were accepted because somebody knew my name. I didn't even know 2 of the realtors. I knew one of them, but I didn't know the other 2. Oh yeah, you're into with the Hibbert group. Yeah. and what happened? So the one thing that Racole said is very important. Listen, if you're ready to do business, because after you've signed your buyer's agreement, it's business time. You know, how much money we're going to put up in escrow? That $5,000 to $10,000, put it there already. We ready to go. It's time to go. So now you have the money in escrow. Very, very good. The relationship out there, people are starting to know who you are. Guys, just go to open houses. I just go to open houses. The Jills don't sell nothing under $10 million, but guess what? They're going to know who Angelique Hibbert is because I'm on their IG page. They're asking questions like, which one do you like? You know, number 1 or 2. I went to a $22 million listing upon open house in Indian Creek, which is right behind me. And I'm listening to what's going on and what they're doing. It's incredible, guys. So you got to put yourself out there. So that's one of the other things. The next thing is something that we spoke about last week regarding the lender. Get your lender involved, your team involved. We got to get people involved. So for example, when you get that offer, make sure that you put the lender on that email. I don't even have to tell my lender to call anymore. He just see the email go out. Hey, good day, listing realtor. This is David, and I'm calling. I see that John Smith put an offer on the property, and Angelique Hibbert is the realtor. I am just calling to confirm that we can close in 35 days. We're ready to take the application, and we're ready to order the appraisal as soon as you accept our offer. That's another thing. The next thing is that if you have referred an inspector to your buyer, make sure those inspectors can get out there. We can't wait 3 and 4 days. I want to be able to, we can do an inspection in 24 hours, 48 hours. Terms matter. Sometimes it's not all about the price. Right now it's about the price because people are knowing that they can capitalize on the price. But terms are just as important. Sometimes I want the price, but I still need to stay in the house. You know, you got to think about those things that occur too. Yes, I want the money, but I need to stay here as well. So time is important. Yeah, you can close in 30 days, but you know, something you can put in there. If the seller needs a little bit more time, the buyer is flexible. These are all little things that, because think about it. I mean, I was looking at 57 offers at one time, and I was just like, some of them started to get repetitive and repetitive and repetitive. But, you know, you look, okay, well, these people, and then you all of a sudden see somebody write, you know, buyer is flexible, can close in 30 days, you know, seller can stay until, you know, this amount of time and so forth. So terms are important. Inspection period is important. Having your lender call and follow up is important. All these things are important to get your offer accepted. You know, go out and meet the realtor. Where is the realtor? Who's listed this property? If you're farming in a particular area and you see a consistency of realtors in a particular area, go meet them. Go and meet them. I don't care where they are. Meet them, email them. Hey, you know what? I'm a realtor. I have a lot of buyers. They're qualified. Let them know who you work with. This man took our offer and he hates the company the offer came from. He literally said, I hate that company. I hate them. That's what he said. And I said, well, it's a franchise. And, they're different, locations and different offices and different owners. I just don't like that company. So whatever happened to him with that company, he doesn't care where it came from at all. But you know what I did? I had the lender get on the phone. I had the lender call him. We were offer number 17. 17. And it was accepted. Now, here's another thing why an offer of mine got accepted. The listing realtor had a list of things that you needed to have. There were like 10 things you needed to have. You know what I did?
Following the broker instructions. Come on.
Let me tell you. They called me and said, we're accepting your offer. And I just want to tell you why. Because you read the attachment and you followed all 10 steps. And not only did you follow 10 steps, you put them all in the order 1, 2, 3 through 10.
My gosh.
That's why my offer was accepted.
My God.
So sometimes we don't follow. They tell you don't call, you call anyway. They tell you to text, you don't text, you call, you don't follow the instructions on what you should be doing. If you follow the instruction, and I write it, thank you so much, and I'll put certain things in the email. Thank you for responding to my text the way you wanted to speak. It's important. We've got to follow what they want. Yes, we're playing on the other side of the field, but we want to get the goal. So sometimes you just play along and you need to do that. And I got another offer accepted like that, And sometimes I tell my buyers, I said, look, this house is priced low. It's priced low. It's priced at $325. The house is going to sell for $340. I said, your bracket is $325. So you really can't go over the $325. Well, no, I got $20,000 more. Okay, do you want to take the $20,000 and put it on the $325? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, that house is probably gonna go for $340. As soon yesterday, Tuesday, Angelique, they put the price up to $340. Yeah, I said, didn't I tell you? I said, they price it low to create all of the hoopla, create the bidding war, get people excited, because see, now they understand that the interest rate's going up a little bit, so they gotta tweak things a little bit to still get these prices where they want them to go. Because eventually, as much as the interest rate go up, the prices have to come down. If they don't, we're gonna be inflation. Nobody gonna be buying houses, nobody gonna be driving cars, nobody gonna be buying groceries. Okay, so it'll get very detrimental very quickly. So we have to pay attention to certain things that happen. So I'm hoping this information is helping everybody.
Oh, 100%. So you guys saw I spun around and got my pen because I'm always going to give a recap at the end of the conversation. I wanted to go back. I need to make sure I put that instructions, right? Because we got to make sure we're following instructions. I want to go back to brand and putting your name out there, because that was something that was on my list. And I know for sure to be effective, you have to market even to the listing agent. Yes. By number one, yes, relationship, but what is your reputation and how many deals have you closed, right? So be outside the box. Have the same way that you market to buyers and sellers, market to the listing agent. Have your one sheeter that says, well, I've closed, 30 deals, right? I closed 42 deals last year. 2 were in this price point, or 10 were in this community, etc. So they're like, oh, they're serious. They're not just blindly throwing offers out here. They mean, to your point, to your workshop, they are a professional. Yes. Everyone wants to work with a professional. No one wants their job to be hard. And so if the first thing that I've done, like Angelique says, and we do this even with job postings, we say, make sure you put, final in caps at the end of your your cover letter. Only the people who put final in caps at the end of their cover letter are going to get a first review, because I need to know that you're paying attention. Exactly. Like it's going to be a fairly quick relationship from contract to close, but I don't want to have to. And let's be honest, guys, working with buyers, there's a couple bit more tasks that are involved with it. So I want to know that you're going to be professional enough to manage all of your tasks. So that's one point that I wanted to elaborate on and add that to the equation of getting a winning offer accepted, putting some credence, putting some credential behind your name.
Big time, big time. And filling out your offer. Oh my God. Please fill out your offers, complete your offers, and always remember, if you do nothing else, does anybody know who the contract or the offer is between? Anybody?
I know where you're
Stop
going with that.
putting your commissions on the last page of the contract. Hold on one second.
Go get your book.
You see, we do the ethics course. We do these courses, guys. It's very clear. The contract is not between the brokerages. It's between the seller and buyer. If something occurs or happens, they both got to get their own attorneys. The brokerages are not coming out there and being an attorney for you. That's not how that works. The brokerages are going to protect themselves. If you have to you happen to get some protection along with that, great for you, but you are going to need representation. The contract is not between, don't put your commission on the contract. That drives me crazy because it's showing you that you don't know who this contract even is between. I asked the lady the other day.
I think they're doing it just because they see others do it. And
no. That means so I asked the lady, I said, when did you take your continuing ed? She said, well, I took it. I said, well, did you pay attention? And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, my broker always tells me. I said, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. I said, at the end of the day, you have decided to get a license in the state of Florida. You have one. You are now being governed by the National Association of Realtors. You must take certain classes. She's asking me to help her correct her offer that she's sending to me. Don't you have a broker?
So the comment is, are people actually doing that? Yes, they're actually doing that.
And they shouldn't be people, 100%. Let me tell you, professional people out there are looking at that. They're seeing that, okay, this person don't even know. They don't know. And sometimes your offer gets skipped over because of that. Is it the right thing? No, it's not, but they may go ahead and show the seller, and why are you putting 3% or 2.5%? And then hold on, why are you putting my commission on the other side? You haven't seen the listing agreement. You have no idea what my commission is.
This is true.
So why are you even talking for my brokerage? So things like that is very, very important that you fill out you do it properly. Guys, we have the hotline. If you're a part of an MLS, I'm almost sure you have a hotline to call. I go over the as-is contract and the CRIS, so I understand what these things mean. We are not to be attorneys, nor do I ever pretend to be one, but we need to have the understanding of what we're doing. I've had realtors, the biggest compliments I've ever got is from other realtors. So, my God, your offer is so clear and clean. Like there's nothing you need to do with my offer. My offer is there. I'm giving you everything that you need and that you requested. So preparation on how you submit an offer is also very, very important.
Sometimes you say preparation, I want you to come back to that preparation on how you submit an offer. I wanted to touch on working with the lender. How many of your lenders are giving you a DU approval to submit with your offers? And the reason why I ask that is because I know that it's legwork on the front end for a loan officer to provide you with a DU approval, because it's essentially what they would do once you were already under contract. How many of you, if there's anyone in the chat, and then yourself, I know that we were together at an event and a loan officer offered to do that on your deals. How many loan officers are doing that for you?
I'm just reading some things here in the chat, and to be honest with you, actually, I have to be honest. It's not illegal, but we really shouldn't be submitting DUs. The reason why we shouldn't be submitting DUs is because it has a lot of fragile information.
Confidential information.
Yes, and we're sending these things over with all the information about the buyer. And that's one thing. And another thing, being a part of different organizations, I think is very, very important. When people see that, they do respect it. I am a part of many organizations, and I sit on many boards. I purposely wear my name tag when I'm going, so they see who I am and they see what I do. So the respect comes very quickly. So I'm not here to play a game with you, but it's not illegal to ask for a DU. The thing is just that our A-line banks, as I like to call them, which is like our Bank of America, TD Bank, Wells Fargo, those types of banks, they don't provide DUs. They don't. So brokers do provide DUs, and you can. But guys, let me be real honest with you. Just like anything else, a DU is what you put in the system. So whatever information you put in there is what is going to come out. So if they tweak one or two little things to make it look right, then guess what? It looks right. But is it going to be the right information? And some people just want to know, well, you gave a DU, but what does that really mean anyway?
So let's chime in on that just a little bit, because we have some communication in the chat. Jamil is saying that she's seeing a lot of agents asking for it in South Florida. And again, I think that is because it's become practice. A lot of things kind of become common practice. I want to take a step back, and I want to say I 100% agree with you about the confidential information that is included in a DU is a desk underwriting approval. For those that are not familiar with the term, it is essentially when the lender has taken the buyer's information and run it through Fannie Mae's underwriting system to say that this buyer will likely get approved for this loan. And so you understand that when the lender receives a contract for purchase, if they've already underwritten the buyer itself, now the thought process is all they have to do is technically underwrite the property. So we've underwritten the buyer. We have confirmed that they are qualified and approved essentially for funding, for lending. Now, once we receive the contract for the real estate, we're going to underwrite the real estate. That's where we have the appraisals, the inspections, etc. And we approve the real estate. Now we're getting a full loan approval, and a clear to close for closing. And so those are being asked for those who are commenting on it in the chat, because again, you have listing agents that are really just trying to be sure that we're not getting up, 10 days before closing, 5 days before closing, and you're saying, uh-oh, this buyer can't be approved. And I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, even though that's something that's being requested by the listing agent, I think you want to know whether or not your buyers, again, now we're taking a step back to the buyer's consultation conversation. I think you want to know that your time is being well spent. You should not go out on a pre-qual, right? That's not even a pre-approval, that's a pre-qual. That's taking it a step back. And so that's where that right. So pre-qualification letters, they have no confidential information on them. All they'll have is a person's name saying the amount that they are approved for. Yep. But the DU, again, the DU is very further down the line. The DU is financial information, what they're qualified for, credit scores, etc. This is the buyer examined and qualified for lending. So I like that conversation that we just had about that. Those are some things to take into consideration on the buyer side, whether or not it's going to be actually good information, as well as if that's what it takes for you to get your loan accepted. Are we having a conversation now about redacting confidential information? Right?
Right.
It's similar to when people send proof of funds, right? I hope you're redacting bank account numbers, but we see proof of funds with millions of dollars in the account. And so that's another offer presentation tactic that you need to take into consideration in this market, right? If it's between buyer A and buyer B, and buyer B has selected, has submitted proof of funds, and even more information about being qualified for financing, I think we're probably going to have a conversation with buyer B.
Right.
Thoughts? All right.
Exactly. There are a couple more tips I'd like to add.
Go ahead, for sure.
On this, if you're using the as-is contract, another thing is important, and this is why you should really understand the actual contract. Again, remember, you're not an attorney. Please don't pretend to be one. That's the one thing that can get you at the grievance board in a minute. Please don't do that. But it tells you that the lender will communicate. That's something you can also put in the body of the email. The lender will be communicating step by step. I mean, because you could put page 3, line 1 through 2, it says that the lender will communicate. Then people know that you are really on this thing with your contract. The lender really gonna communicate. Okay, this is good. So we know that there's going to be communication. So I take that out and I said page 3 of 12 of the as-is contract states, and the lender will be following up step by step. So in other words, if you happen to have a TC or if it's just you doing it, ensure that you are giving that person an update every possibly 4 days of what's going on. It makes them feel confident about your offer and you're going through that process. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, they updated us again. Okay, the application has been done as according to page whatever. And I send that out. Application completed as stated on page, I think it's page 3 of 12, that, you know, we said that we're going to do the 1003 application within 3 days. Completed. I'm sending that to you. What's next? Completed. I'm sending that to you. So now you are in conversation and giving updates accordingly. So if there's a glitch that occurs, the person be more willing to work with you, as opposed to you haven't said anything. Right. And then all of a sudden now you have a problem. And I don't want to really like, wait a minute, I thought everything was going well, you know? So staying in communication is super, super important. So I also put that in the body of my emails as well, that the lender will be reaching out. I asked my lender to send an email from his email address, so we know what's going on, and we make sure that the listing realtor is on that as well. Another thing that I do, when I tell you that my customer has and can put down $60,000, I tell them to send a bank statement. I need to show them that the money is there. Here's the money. Don't send me the bank statement from last month. Pull it today. Put it, I want to see.
I like that. I like that.
You know, because I don't know if you decided to go spend $5,000 on something. So I don't want to know when I want one today, and I circle the day. They have the money. When I'm sending this offer, they have the money. So there's so many steps in winning the offer. Inspections are important, guys. Know 3 inspection companies, so that way you can get that done in 12. People don't want to wait the whole 7 days, and on day 6 you letting them know. That's a problem. Because
would you suggest, because we've done this, would you suggest giving them 3 options, and then they can select one as well to interview during the consultation, so they already know who they're contacting and not trying to figure out who they're contacting once they go into contract?
100%. Actually, in my buyer's presentation, and just so you all know, this Saturday, I'm having the real estate professional workshop. I'm very, very excited. There's going to be details way above and beyond this hour that we have today, but it is super important when you're doing your buyer's consult. My lender is involved in there for a minute. My title company jumps on. What does title do? I don't know what title does. I want my buyer to know what the title company does. No, you don't have to use that title company, but these are the services that I'm telling you. Use whatever title company you choose, but they have a minute to come on and they talk about what they're going to do, you know, and what they do as title. All title companies basically do the same thing. It's just the customer service of the title company. And as I always say, always look for a title company that has an attorney. That has an attorney. Super. Oh yeah, day to wear. We're almost there. We got people buying tickets and so excited. So you're going to learn all of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this is master. When I say mastering the real estate profession, this part is what everybody misses in the beginning, and I can't figure. All they want to do is jump right in and go to the transaction. So all we're talking about is buyer's consults and listing presentations. No, we've got to get into the business of the real estate profession so we can perfect the buyer's consultation and perfect the listing appointment so we all can be professionals at what we do by far.
I'm excited. I'm excited about this coming Saturday as we come up on our on the end of our lunch today. I'm excited. You guys should see on the screen the information regarding the real estate professional workshop that Angelique is hosting this Saturday. If you guys jumped on in the beginning before we got started, we were talking about the promotion for the event and how well that is going. Listen, again, this also is birthed out of really having these conversations with so many realtors who said, I had no idea. Someone just said, you should teach a class. Well, here's the class. Here is the class. And if you enjoyed this conversation today and you knew that, oof, this is something that would have helped me a long time ago, if this would allow me to collapse weeks and years and decades of hit and miss, then you need to be here. I have the opportunity to speak on the wealth mindset. You guys have probably seen it, the flyer going around that I want to have the conversation about the wealth mindset. I talked about earlier that a lot of this, your change is going to come based on changing your mindset, right? So someone is saying, well, how did she get to this point? How is she running a multi six-figure business? How is she running multiple listings and buyers at the same time? How is she doing that? I want to do that. I said this at the beginning of the call. If you knew how to do it, you would already be doing it. And since you don't know how to do it, let's come have this conversation. The registration link is there on the screen. I think we have just a few seats left. Angelique said, I'm keeping this very exclusive. I said, okay, I understand. She's keeping this very exclusive. And listen, again, if you have not, I mentioned if you had plans for Saturday, I suggest you change your plans. Angelique stays at the closing table.
I will be very honest with you. I decided to send this out to every last customer. I sent it out over 200 customers this morning. And believe it or not, I sat right here in my house and I'm literally getting ready to list $1.2 million worth of properties. Just for me sending this out to my customers and say, if you know any realtors out there who may be interested in mastering any of these, all of them said, Angelique, we're going to be following you. I'm going to be following you. I'll forward this for you. I'll forward it. 2 people emailed, you know what? My mom needs to sell her house. I'm so glad you text. The other person said, I've been meaning to call you. Can you please give us some estimates on our property, some values on our property? I said, sure. Now you think I'm going to give those values just over the phone? No, I'm going to call the title company and have them do a nice HUD and send it to them on a high, a low, and a medium. And I'm going to tell them to look at line 603. That's what goes in your pocket. And that's something else we're going to talk about when it comes to listings, talking about, you know, when they're asking about commissions and how we list at 7%, and people don't understand how we do that.
Faithfully. Yes. I'm a witness. I close their deals. They list at 7% faithfully. And I get realtors, that's crazy. How are they doing that? That's illegal. No, it isn't. That's what you negotiated for. That's because
they don't know. They haven't read their books.
Agreed to pay. Their deals, I'm a witness. I close their deals. 7%. Legit 7% all day long. So listen, if you want to know how to do that, have that conversation, you are more than welcome to attend. Can you drop the or you put in your Instagram handle? If you can drop the link to the registration, that'd be great. And we're about to wrap up. If you found value in this, please let me see some fire in the chat. You guys have done a great job today with just oh, somebody raised their hand. Let's see.
I'm putting the link in here.
Oh boy, hold on 1 second, Donna. Hold on, guys. Oh, what did I do?
Oh, and we're having a nice gourmet lunch because everything has to be professional.
I'm coming to bring the heat. I want to, what they say, shake the table. Donna, I'm letting you speak, and someone else raised their hand. Oh, Ophelia raised their hand. If y'all want to talk, go ahead and talk. I got a lot going on. I feel like I'm at I saw you guys raise your hand. I didn't know if you were raising your hand to to say you enjoyed or you had something to say, but you're on stage now. So there you go. All right. So listen, if you guys, let me do a quick recap. I want to do a quick recap. All right, your group is under contract again. I just got another confirmation. You killing. Making winning offers. Escrow deposit made with escrow letter included with your offer. Relationships, get out there, meet some people, meet other realtors, meet listing realtors. If they're in your market, your price point, meet them, shake hands, make sure they know your name. Lender, make sure the lender is reaching out along with you, before you. At the same time your offer goes out there, the phone is ringing at the same time for your lender saying, hey, I'm the loan officer. I can make sure that you're going to get to the closing table. Price, obviously, what's the right price? Price is, want to be one of the first things, but we're talking about what are the other terms. And then seller post-closing occupancy. That's what we talked about. Buyer is flexible. We can close in 21, 30 days, and the seller can still remain in the property for 30, 60, 90 days, right? Or 60, depending upon their financing. What are we, I think 60 days is their cap. No, Archie's on here. Archie's an LO. Archie, check me. If they're financing, there you go. Archie's on it, 60 days. So there is another tip, guys. If you use this term in your offer, make sure that you're maxed out at 60 days. The buyer needs to be in the property in 60 days. So you can do a close in 20, close in 30, in 60. You can't do 61, 62, 63, can't do 90 because you're supposed to be in there. Thank you, Archie, Mr. Grant. Archie's an LO if y'all want to have a conversation with Archie. The inspection period. You can keep your inspection period tight. You don't need 7 days if you've already had a conversation with inspectors and your buyer has already interviewed them and decided who they'd like to use. Following the instructions that are in the broker's remarks. Follow the instructions. It may be a trick, question. Remember, type final in caps at the bottom. Who knows? But follow that because then they'll know they're working with a professional. And finally, just make sure that your offer is clear and clean. Leave no blanks. There's no reason for that. So if you provide a clear and clean offer, you are on your way to making the winning offer. We did it, guys, with 3 minutes to spare.
I want to give one last tip. If
Go ahead.
You cannot, should I give them this or should I wait till Saturday?
Oh, man.
I'm going to get a tip. I'm going to give the tip. So listen, if you can't find a property for your customer, but you know they like a particular area, create a postcard. You know what I do for my customers? My customer wants to be in a certain area. So guess what I do? I create a postcard and I mail it out and say, I have a qualified buyer who is looking in your area and is approved by, and I will put the company they are approved by and mail it out.
Wow.
And mail it out. In most cases, you're either going to get a listing or you're going to get somebody that calls and say, you got a buyer that's already approved. And I put the name of the company. So if they approved by Bank of America, I put that they're approved by bank, whatever bank it is, I put it on there and mail it out. I got a real buyer ready. And I will send it out 2 or 3 times to a neighborhood until I get a bite. Most times what happens, I end up getting a listing. Twice I was able to get buyers into properties.
Go. From
doing that.
There you go. And that was for the cost of your attendance today. Well, listen, we look forward to seeing some of you, all of you, on Saturday. For those who are available, we look forward to seeing you because, again, we want to get you to the closing table. That's all this is about. We want to get you to the closing table. I know for sure that, again, it's for lack of information. For lack of information that you're not achieving your goals. And whatever the goal may be. And then we know we're going to give you the information. And after that point, it's going to be about implementation. And that's where I come in at. I'm going to come and drill it in. I'm the mindset sergeant. I am going to drill in how you are going to implement the information that is given to you this weekend. All right. All right. 30 seconds to go.
Hope to see you guys there. DM me. Follow me on Instagram. I'm telling you, wait until you hear what I have to say about listings. I wowed some people yesterday. They're like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. I can't even give you any more information. Gotta go.
I know that's right. That's enough. Her IG information is @HibbertRE. Drop that in there again.